Hello and welcome back everybody. It's Complicated Relationships Reddit Stories. Hope you guys are safe and healthy. Now let's see what the story is about today. What if you find out that your wife has been complaining about you to her male best friend, saying she sometimes wishes she wasn't married and things that she doesn't like about you? Now let's see how this story goes. Also, if you like what I do, please give this video a thumbs up and do subscribe to the channel.
My wife and I have been together for 10 years and married for 5. We both work pretty normal 9-to-5 jobs, own a home, and have no kids, so we don't have a lot of the stressors of a normal marriage. I love my wife dearly, and I can't imagine life without her. She is beautiful and smart, and I'm lucky to be married to her. She seems bored with day-to-day married life, I guess. I try to plan fun things with her, and we always make a point to go out on a little date at least once a week. Now, on to the real root of the problem. Within the last year and a half, she found a new gaming hobby. This has a pretty big online community. She started spending a good bit of time on this new hobby, and I didn't think anything bad of it. She was having fun. I even built her a new computer when she asked for one, so that she could have more fun with it.
Now, the wife is spending so much time on this hobby that OP feels like she neglects their relationship and her own well-being.
Even though she has to be up at 6 a.m. for work, she'll stay up until 1 or 2 a.m. playing, and then complain that she doesn't feel good or that she's tired all the time. We used to do a lot of things together. It was great. Over the last year or so, I don't think we've gone to bed at the same time even once. I try to get her to come to bed with me, but she refuses, saying that she's going to stay up a while longer. As you can imagine, this has killed intimacy in the relationship. She started to become real-life friends with some of the people from the gaming community. There's nothing wrong with her having friends. However, I think that one of the new guy friend has become incredibly inappropriate. Let's call him Steve. They text each other all the time. Most of it is relatively harmless and just chit-chat related to work or games. However, a while back, she started complaining about me to Steve, saying that sometimes she wishes she wasn't married and spilling her guts about the things she doesn't like about me. Steve had no words of encouragement for the marriage, instead telling her to take the path that makes her happy, and he told her that he cared very deeply for her and that he just wants her to be happy.
OP discovered all this when he got on the computer one day and her chat window was still open. Perhaps it was wrong for him to read it, but he was pretty suspicious of this guy at this moment.
I confronted her about it, and she, without much emotion, told me that she was frustrated about some things in our relationship and that she and Steve were just friends. I told her that his language makes it incredibly obvious that he has feelings for her. I told her that it was incredibly inappropriate and that he shouldn't even allow himself to get to that point. I told her that I don't like him and that I don't think it's appropriate for them to spend time together anymore. She assured me that I have nothing to worry about and played the "don't you trust me" card. They continue to chat all day and night. She stays up way too late, and even when Steve tells her to go to sleep, she just says that she really likes talking to him. I still have her Facebook login though, and read back through her conversations. They are mostly harmless still, but there is some cause for concern. One day, my wife said "I love you" with a sort of heart or smiley emoticon thing. He wrote that he loved her back.
Fast forward to this weekend, the wife is going to lunch with her mom. OP told them that he would leave them alone so they could have a girls' day out.
It's not only them. My wife invited Steve to go out to lunch with them and didn't say a thing about it to me. I asked her if it would just be her and her mom, and she avoided the question, twice. Earlier in her chat with Steve, she also told him that she's very open with her mom and had talked to her about him. I could tell Steve to stay the hell away from her. I don't think he's very strong-willed, and I think he just might stay away, or at least try to distance himself. Then again, he might share my message with her and make her even more upset with me. Or he might retaliate and try to become closer to her, though this last thing seems unlikely. I honestly think my wife sees her relationship with Steve as a healthy, best friend relationship and sees nothing wrong with it. I should also say that my wife has a very poor social barometer. I sometimes feel like she's bored of me, and at any moment, she might just start to have real feelings back towards Steve, whether she intends to or not. It might just happen.
Now, OP thinks they should see a marriage counselor, but he's afraid she might calm up in front of the marriage counselor or just refuse to go. Now, here is the update.
I confronted my wife when she got home, and I asked her straight if it was just her and her mom at lunch. She looked straight at me and said yes. I asked her again, "Are you sure about that?" Again, she said yes, looking at me like I was crazy. Then I changed my tone and told her it's time to start telling the truth. I told her that she was lying and that I know she was actually at lunch with Steve. I don't know what I expected at this point, but I sure as hell didn't get regret or sorrow from her. She angrily demanded to know how I knew. I told her how, and I now realize this was a mistake. She was angry that I had spied on her to find out that she was lying, and she showed no regret whatsoever. I immediately told her that our marriage was in serious trouble and that we're going to marriage counseling. She quickly said no and to go by myself if I want to. I ultimately got her to agree to quit talking to Steve because he was a wedge driving us apart and that we couldn't heal our relationship until he is out of the picture. She half-heartedly agreed. She changed her Facebook password and quit using Facebook chat to communicate.
Now, the next day, after the wife's mom left, he asked her if she had cut Steve off. She said yes. He asked her to show him proof. Then she got angry.
Eventually, she relented and showed me her text conversation with Steve. She told him that I knew everything and that they wouldn't be able to talk for a while. I was too stupid to see at the time that she was apologizing to Steve at the same time, apologizing that she had let their relationship be found out and that I was the bad person here, and threatened to move back home to live with her mom. I asked her what I did to deserve to be treated this way, and she just said it was a lot of little things. I finally got her to agree to have an open heart and try to work with me on our marriage. Things smoothed out a bit after this. I was exceedingly nice to her in every possible way. I bought her flowers every week, took her out on dates at least once a week, and began to show interest in some of her hobbies like yoga and her video games. I started walking through life with a new and renewed outlook on everything.
The wife still didn't act happy most of the time. She tolerated his presence and would half smile when he told her how happy he was with his newfound perspective on life.
She still spent a lot of time looking at her phone, being careful never to have her back to me when she was on it. I would walk up to see what she was doing, and she seemed to be doing fairly harmless stuff, none of it involving Steve. Still, I was suspicious. One day when she was in the shower, I checked her phone. She was still texting Steve, but drastically less. When she got out, I asked her if she was still talking to him. She admitted that she was, and she agreed to stop contacting him. The next opportunity I got to check her phone, I realized that she had password protected her texts. I didn't say anything about it. A couple days later, she accidentally sent me a text meant for Steve. I questioned her on it, and she got angry with me and said it was the only thing she'd really sent him lately.
The next day, OP came home from work and she told him that a family friend from her hometown invited her to come to his college graduation and said she wanted to go by herself.
I said that was fine and that I would fly her up there. She immediately refused, stating that she intended to drive. I asked her when she would be leaving, and she said Thursday night. I insisted on booking a hotel room for her halfway. Again, she refused, stating that she would figure it out along the way. Later, I got on the computer to see what she had been up to and was able to see some of her activities online with friends. She mentioned that she was taking a road trip with Steve to see her friend graduate and that they would drive through the night together. When asked, she acted like she knew nothing. I asked why she had secretly planned a trip with Steve with plans to introduce him to her family. Just like the first time, she displayed no guilt, regret, or sorrow. I asked her if she was sleeping with him. She said no, but who knows? She angrily started packing her bags in her car, took the dog, and told me she was leaving. True to her word, she and Steve partnered up and drove through the night to go see her family.
OP saw the marriage counselor last night and explained everything to her. He knows the counselors are supposed to remain professional, but even she was crying as he told her what had happened.
My wife is living in a fantasy land. She is addicted to Steve, her gaming community. I pulled a chat transcript from Facebook and found that, on average, she and Steve exchanged 95 messages per day. She says she is miserable living in our home that we'd bought together and seems to think she can go live by herself and that life will be like an episode of Friends every day. Sure, she could move in with Steve. Steve's entire life is video games. Seriously, that is all he does. I think she would start to feel neglected really quick if she were with him in a real-life relationship. I love my wife to death. or at least the woman that she was a year and a half ago. I don't know how she's going to feel when she comes back from her fun road trip with Steve, where she probably saw her family that backs up every move she makes. We had made summer vacation plans already a few weeks ago when things were decent. Now I'm just in shock.
Now, here is the final update. A week after she stormed out and went on her trip with Steve, I had to go out of the country for work. When I came back, she had completely packed up and moved out. Anything that she bought or was given to her as a gift was gone. She took the dog but left the cats. The neighbors told me that she and Steve showed up with a moving truck one day and moved her out. When I explained the situation to them, the neighbor lady wanted to punch her in the face. My sisters wanted to do the same. She is staying with him now. I have had zero contact with her in the 10 days since she moved out. I can't help but to wonder what story she had been telling everyone about why she decided to move out. I suppose she'll tell them that I was being controlled because I got upset that she planned a trip with Steve. As you can probably tell, I am more resigned about the whole situation now. I since had a giant wake-up call and grown a backbone. I realized that I may have been in a codependent relationship, one where I was basically willing to forgive almost anything bad of her and giving her second chances. I have started doing things for myself now, and while there are still good days and bad days, the good are starting to outnumber the bad. I also planned a trip with an old friend that includes concerts, hiking in Colorado, whitewater rafting, and just hanging out. My wife, on the other hand, just hanging out with Steve playing video games. Losers. I had a consultation with a lawyer last week, but he was a softie. I'm going to see another one this week that has a reputation to being super sharp and having a temper like a bull. Wish me luck, guys. End of the story. Well, OP, if you want some insight, this is what comes to mind. Your wife doesn't love you anymore, so be glad things have developed like this. It's a chance to break free from an emotionally painful relationship. Good luck, strength, and wisdom to you. Do break free. You deserve it. Thank you all for listening. Please like, comment, and share the video if you enjoyed it. Also, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you will be notified when we upload the next video. Take care.